Hi, I'm Mark Scherer. I'm the CEO and founder of Encompass Life and the host of the Encompassing Life podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Bill Quateman. He's the CEO and founder of Advanced BioCell. And Bill's the kind of guy I met him yesterday, and I feel like I've known you for about 3 or 4 years already.
I would say
So
longer. I would say longer.
longer, awesome. I'm trying to keep the age down a little bit, Bill. But
It
yeah,
does that. It does. Infinity is okay.
yeah, it's awesome and really interesting guy. Um, Super passionate about what he does. And so I have him on the show so he can share a little bit about not only his company, but what life lessons you've discovered along the way for you to have this company and be successful in the way you are. Because quite an extraordinary life, Bill.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure to be here, Mark. It's a pleasure to meet you and get to know you.
You too, sir. So you've been the CEO of Advanced BioCell for how many years now?
Officially 16, unofficially maybe 50 years. I don't know. I'm an
Yeah,
overnight success. I'm ready for my overnight success.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, 50 years of creating an overnight success. I can
absolutely.
relate to that as well.
I bet you can.
You're like, where did this company come from? And they don't realize the consciousness and the contemplation and the I
Realize,
guess
realizing of your vision.
yeah. Or you ever hear the story about a mung about how a mung bean like a mung tree can grow?
No.
So you can take a mung bean tree, plant a mung bean, it'll grow, and you put a rock on top of it, and that tree will grow and grow and grow and grow until and increase the circumference of its trunk until it can push that rock off.
Ah,
And so same thing with, sometimes when you have a passion like what you're doing here, you hold it in, you hold it in, you hold it in, you hold it in, and at some point in time, it's got to come off. You got to express it.
yeah, I had found that, as you stay focused on your vision and you are relentless and immersed in bringing it to life and have, like you say, the emotions and the consciousness and the thinking process in place to support that and bring it to life, at some point, the universe is going to say, oh, okay, okay, here you go.
Yeah. Well, he goes, are you finished beating yourself up? Well, if you are, then you can
Yeah, no,
have
no,
the,
I stopped doing that a long time ago. I think my 15, 18-hour days building empire is part of my passion and what I love to do. I mean, I'm always interested from a very young age in why people do what they do, how stuff happens, how to help with it, as because there's just so much stuff going on in the world for people that they really need some guidance. I
yeah,
have been one of them.
yep. And educate people on how to think, not what to think. That's
Exactly.
that's the big thing because we're people are dumbing themselves down by regurgitating what somebody else has told them.
Exactly. One of the lines I always use is I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to tell you what to think about thinking.
Yeah, awesome. So tell us a little bit about the products you're making.
Well, Advanced BioCell is a regenerative wellness company organization. I have been mentored by and educated by some of the finest integrative natural medicine practitioners in the world. I had a blessed and profound, privileged 32-year tutorial with a psychiatry professor from Northwestern University in Chicago, Dr. Bruce Boyd. And he was my beloved teacher in the end. Started out with the usual kind of neurotic kind of stuff, and we got into absolutely everything. And he taught me really clearly and plainly. He was a realized master masquerading as a psychiatrist. And he taught me really in the end who I am.
Mhm.
And who I am is nothing other than a chip off the old God. And that's all there is to it. So as you get to kind of find that that's really who you are and what that means you can realize anything you choose. And the first thing
Hmm.
you want to do is wake up and realize that you haven't been choosing uh,
Hmm.
enough, probably, of the things you think about and the things that you feel, the things that you do because of the feelings that you have.
Yeah. And some people think they're the drop in the ocean, but the way it's also done is you're the whole ocean in one drop.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
We
have
we are the ocean. Uh,
right.
Wasn't that a Michael Jackson song? We are the ocean? No.
Uh, you're dating yourself now, sir.
It's okay. I'm dateless. I'm dateless. I mean that's part of the deal is like, I have lived such a charmed life and I'm so grateful for it that it shows up in everything I do. My energy levels, my appearance, my ability to help and all of those things. That's what happens. If you feed your heart and your soul, you're able to do more.
Yeah. So you're the company. I believe you were sharing with me yesterday that you're going to open up a brick and mortar location as well.
Right. We're in the very early stages of some really exciting business development where everything that has to do with health, with wellness and regenerative medicine is going to be in one place at one time. You know, the real truth about our health and wellness has to do with everything. People say to me often, what do you think the biggest health problem people have is? And I typically say, well, I used to say it's their opinion.
Hmm.
Then I realized really what the biggest health problem is simply being alive in the world and subjecting your body to the onslaught of everything every day. And then it's your opinion.
Right.
What we do is basically I always say we're in the reconstruction business because people don't really have an idea. From a late 20s to early 30s, the slowing down and the aging process begins with one thing and another, whether it's inflammation, whether it's leaky gut, whether it's malnutrition, whether it's hormone imbalance. There's a thing called senescence,
Hmm.
cell senescence. You may be familiar with it, is where the cells don't divide and they don't die, and they call them zombie cells. Those
Hmm.
zombie cells form a blob. They attract healthy neighboring cells into that blob, and that blob just sits there and starts causing inflammation, just one of the causes of inflammation. And that's
Hmm.
really kind of the first kind of steps into the aging process. So as your mitochondria start
Hmm.
slowing down and your metabolic function isn't working and there's not enough oxygen in your blood.
Hmm.
I mean, the point of the story is that all the things that we can do to help people recover from those deficiencies is something that we will have in a Uber clinic, you might say, whether
Hmm.
it's the ozone therapy, whether it's the red light, whether it's the colon hydrotherapy, whether it's the stem cells. We're very excited about it. There's a tremendous group of people that are helping us create what will ideally be a world-class destination.
Hmm. In our in our modality, that's caused by resignation toward life.
Exactly.
That's people are like, oh, it's a dog eat dog eat world, and I'm wearing milk bone underwear kind of deal,
Yeah.
or like my dad would say, is life's like a turd on a bicycle tire. Same old shit keeps coming around again and again, and they go into that resignation like nothing I can no matter what I do I'm not going to be successful anyway. So what can I do just to kind of mosey on through and until I can find a place to lay down for a while, for
Absolutely.
and it's sad to see people do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, all suffering, the Buddha said life is suffering, but what he left out, in my humble opinion, is the end point of that, which is all life is suffering when you resist.
Yeah.
And if you're resisting new ideas, if you're
Mm-hmm.
resisting feelings, if you're resisting being open-minded and teachable, if you're resisting asking for help when you need it, I mean, everybody needs help. There's-
Mm-hmm.
the three words that will change anybody's life is God, help me.
Uh, Back in the 70s, I remember reading an article and it talked about how stress was the number one cause of disease. And they said stress was, back then, they said 90% of all diseases was caused by stress. And then I saw the article have been revised, and it was either 95 or 90. That goes up to either 95 or 98% of all disease were caused by stress.
My dear beloved teacher, Dr. Boyd, said that very thing to me in one of our sessions over 50 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Number one killer is stress. He said, but the example was, he said, when he was an intern, he saw people that had come into the ER after just having a traumatic event, a car accident, a bad car accident, and
Hmm.
their cholesterol levels were in the thousands. That is, that's a stress marker.
Hmm. Wow. Yep. And but we don't talk. You don't see that coming up in a diagnosis. Okay, so what do we do? What do we do about stress? And it's not a pill for it. I mean, pills don't do it. It's like you said. Everybody has a perspective. Everybody has an opinion, and whatever that opinion or you know whatever that person is living with based on their beliefs is having them having their own unique experience in life. While somebody else can be look at life and like you have a wonderful, wonderful life and a wonderful wife and beautiful company and everything going on, and you have a whole different set of conversations than somebody who 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 has made up a bunch of other stuff about it. Did you ever read a book called The Holographic Universe by any chance?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But on that very subject, again, I'm doing my best impersonation of Dr. Boyd for many, many, many years because he was such an incredible force of nature.
Hmm.
One of the comments he made to what you said was, there is no pill that
Uh-huh.
can solve a human problem.
Right. You gotta treat the cause in consciousness. Everything. If we're a spiritual being having a human experience, then all our problems are spiritually based and spiritually solved. That's Wayne Dyer said that.
Yep.
And until we do it, we're just going to sit here and just keep turning the same old crap again and again and again.
I love that bicycle image. That's a great one.
Yeah. Have a and maybe find a little bit better way of surviving while still in all the throes of worry, doubt, fear, and all that stuff. And just because some people have who were born in poverty hit it, make it big with money, and are still in the same conversation they had as a kid and worried.
It's true. I mean, the statistics are pretty awesome if you look into it. There's people that are born with silver spoons in their mouth and millions of dollars, and they end up heroin addicts. And there's other people that are born into Hell's Kitchen and they come up and make great things of their life. So
Hmm.
that's just a pointer, like, okay, it's up to you. That's, I think,
Hmm.
God's joke. God's joke is free will. Here you
Yep.
go. Here's your life. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll talk about if I put 15 people up on stage and walked up to them and hit them in the exact same place on their face with the exact same forces, how many different responses do you think I'd get?
Yeah.
15, right? Some people would laugh, some people would cry, some people would try to kick my ass or whatever. And but so it's not what happens in life is what we make up about that experience that defines our future life.
Yeah, it's our response versus our reactivity.
Yeah, yeah. And that reactivity, and you got to be able to reprogram the subconscious to have a new response based on a conscious response based than a reactive response. And once that person can do that, all of a sudden they're able to play in a way broader way of life instead of going silent or lashing out and sabotaging themselves by making a stupid move like some of our illustrious politicians do.
Oh,
You
we
know,
don't, I don't understand how those people, I don't understand how adults can think like that.
yeah, a lot of
Sorry.
cor- a lot of corruptions and all kind of things too going on.
Yeah, I'm not in the fight and I'm not in the drama. I'm just focused on my own community and my business and my wife and my doggies and my loved ones and doing the best I can to help as many people as I can. And whatever they're going to do, they're going to do. And one thing I know for sure is that none of us know anything about what's really going on.
Hmm.
So what the heck? Just go live your life, do the best. The only way anybody will be fulfilled, I believe, is true, is if you find something larger than yourself to
Hmm.
contribute to.
Yeah. I saw a video on Facebook the other day. A friend of mine sent it to me. He said the greatest feelings we can have as humans. Was the video was about. They said sex was an 8 out of 10, psychedelics was a 9 out of 10, and so I was like, well, back in the day, I think I put those two together. Thought I was hitting a 17, you know,
Yeah,
and and but the only thing that's a 10 out of 10 is a conscious use of our co-creative gift, not a thing, but it's a way to navigate and have a communion with source in a way where as your trust grows, your manifestations grow in boldness and velocity.
absolutely. It's my personal experience that you're describing here, Mark,
Hmm.
and your
And
own.
I believe everyone that's really successful who's not using a manipulation and a control model, which because people have used that to become successful based on anger, resentment, jealousy, or whatever. But those things are only going to take a person so far, and then something's gonna give. Be it health, be it relationships, be it prison, whatever. But something's gonna negate all that.
Well, absolutely. David Hawkins, you may be familiar with him,
Mm-hmm.
the orthomolecular psychiatrist, Power versus
Force. Yep.
the major book talks exactly about that. You either
Hmm.
operating on power or you're just trying to push a rock up the hill.
Yeah, you're well read. Have you ever read Emmett Fox or what's the other guy? Well, Florence Scovel, Shen, Neville. You ever read Neville?
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, Neville Goddard.
Neville Goddard. Yeah.
Yeah, love him, love him a lot. You know, the part that connects all this from my side of the fence is the physiology and the body chemistry.
Yeah.
Because if you're living life without attending to any of that, you got a leaky gut, you got inflammation, you got
Mm-hmm.
malnutrition, you got metabolic dysfunction, you got mitochondrial dysfunction, your stem
Yeah.
cells dropping off and dropping off and dropping off. So what happens is your cognitive function goes away. You don't feel good, you can't get enough sleep, you don't exercise, you're eating the wrong stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's connecting the dots with the whole of your own life that really can enable you to get to the place where all these emotions and all these thoughts can actually be something that work in your favor. Um, it's that simple, and probably because the nose on your face is that close to you, and some people
Mm-hmm.
miss the point.
Well, I had a client I worked with a number of years ago. Um, ate really healthy, ballerina, did yoga. She should have been like the epitome of health. And they had two kids. Her and her husband had two kids. She couldn't work. Her husband was having to work to pay for everything for the family. Within the first couple minutes of work with her, I said, "So, did something happen in your childhood? A guy do something to you where he didn't pay for what he did?" She just goes white, man. She goes, "Yeah, my pastor sexually assaulted me from I think she was like 7 to 9 years old." And they moved him to another parish, and he never paid for what he did. So she spoke into her subconscious. This man required to pay, and so that took over into her. She was 35 years old, so she's 35 years old, and her health is in such a way where she can't work, and her husband's had to pay for everything. And so that the that those words spoken with that intense feeling from a childhood
Right.
manifested in her life at age 35. So worked with her. she, not only did she forgive that person, she actually found a way to thank that person.
Hmm.
And once she did that, she was able to, her health issues went away and able to work again.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's wild how, when we speak something with vitriol, which is when most people really have an emotional connection to their words, uh, those things manifest in that person's life. I know they certainly did in my life, and you may have had a blessed life. I found all mine going through a lot of my stuff going through my own personal self-created hell until I finally like, what is going on here? So.
I came up from a totally different angle, and the more I live, the more I realize how absolutely blessed I am.
Hmm.
My grandfather was a Russian Jewish immigrant escaping Russia from the pogroms where they were killing Jews with my grandmother, who was pregnant with my mom. Out of out of Russia, they landed in Poland. My mom was born on a farm in Poland. They stayed there for a year, and then they emigrated to the United States. They ended up in Seattle. My grandmother was a quality control person for a gefilte fish company in Seattle. And
Wow.
then they moved to Chicago. I mean, how did they learn the language? What took
Yeah.
part in the mission? And they opened a grocery store because how could they work for anybody? And this is like
Hmm.
1922, 23, 24.
Hmm.
They had a grocery store. They got the grocery store up and running. They bought a three-story brownstone building. They lived on the first floor. And when I was born, well, so before that, my grandfather had three daughters. Now, in many of the traditions, the Jewish tradition, the Italians and so forth, it's like, you got to have a son to carry on the name, right?
Hmm.
Well, my grandfather's third daughter was born. He's in the hospital crying because it's not a boy. My grandmother threw him out. She says, "This is a healthy baby. Get out of here." So when I was born, I was the firstborn son.
Well,
His
son.
background, Mark, was the king of the universe. I see in photographs of my 1-year-old child, who was me, the look in the eyes where I was handed off from my mother to my grandfather to my grandmother to my mother's to my grandmother to my grandfather's daughters. That kind of mainline unconditional love is
Wow.
something that I don't know hardly anybody that may have had that kind of experience. So for me, the challenge over the years was I came to realize with Dr. Boyd at one point was I sort of felt guilty because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really earning all the success that I was getting early on. I was a songwriter, recording artist, and in the music business for a long time. Had a tremendous success in a lot of ways. But I kind of like felt, wow, do I
Mm-hmm.
really deserve this? That was the opposite kind of challenge of I'm not working,
Right.
right, right. But we all have to go through some kind of refining fire,
Yeah.
as Eliot would say.
Awesome. Well, Bill, we've gone all on all kind of tangents here,
Yeah, we have.
and I'm really enjoying our conversation. So let's get back to your business here, and how can, if somebody's looking for help and with what you do, how how do they get in touch with you? Um, what's the best way for people to do that? Because man, 'cause what you're talking about with your company is really some amazing products for longevity and rehab and rejuvenating a person's body and life, man.
All right. Yeah, that's what
So,
we do. The best way to do it, you can visit our website, which is advancedbiocell.com, ADVANCED You can send me an email, bill@advancedbiocell.com. You could call Los Angeles if you want to be in touch, 310-550 6767. We're more like a concierge organization. We want to be able to help people no matter where they are or what they got going on. And we work remotely with people all the time, whether it's for stem cells or whether it's for oxygen therapy, ozone therapy, peptides. We have a nutrition program with hair
Mm.
mineral analysis that we do remotely all the time. So anytime you have a question, please be in touch.
How do you work with persons on ozone therapy? And do you send them machines or?
Well, treating people with ozone therapy, we have them in the clinic here in Los Angeles. That's how we
Oh,
do this. For people that aren't in Los Angeles, we can help you find a place elsewhere.
oh, gotcha. Cool. Yeah, I have one of our practitioners is heavy into ozone. I've done it numerous times, and um, it definitely helps.
Oh yeah, that stem cells and energy and frequency are the future of medicine. The whole point is to keep like, what's your health goal? What do you want? I mean, again, what it is, what do you want? Do you want to have a long, healthy, joyful, active life into your hundreds, 120, 125? That's a social issue. Who are you going to do that with? If you want to just get up to speed with what's going on now in your life, that's another story. The kind of analogy I often use is, are you familiar with F1 cars?
Yeah,
Okay, so the Brad Pitt movie F1,
yeah, yeah, yep.
great movie. It's like a gamer movie. You're like on the inside.
Hmm.
I ask people, so, what do they do? What do those F1 companies do? Ferrari, Maserati, all,
McLaren, yeah, yeah,
yeah, what do they do? They spend millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on the best of everything.
right, yeah,
Best tires, the best technicians, the best designers, the best drivers, the best
yeah,
gasoline, everything. Why don't you do something like that with your body?
yeah, yeah,
That's what Advanced BioCell does its best to bring to people's attention. Given the case, we can get you all kinds of stuff that'll help you do that.
yeah. I use I use an analogy like that in our classes too. I say, when you first started learning how to drive a car, it was kind of then you go to sleep one night, you wake up the next morning, and all of a sudden you can drive a car, and you feel pretty good about it. And then you get to where you can talk on a cell phone, put on makeup, whatever, whatever, while still driving. You don't have to think about what you do, and you to feel like you have some level of competence. Well, what if we go, hey, now by the way, we're going to have you drive a car in NASCAR next week. No practice, get in a car and drive. Well, you'd go, holy crap, not ready for that level of performance, right? So, every time you go up in performance, there's going to be that little contraction of that old shit, but every time you go through it, then all of a sudden there's this new level of new reality that wasn't available to you while you're just driving your old beat up car down the road. So, what do you choose to do with your, like you said, what do you choose to really do with your life? Is to go through high performance. And I used to look at people who live that way and go, my gosh, how much energy does it take to be that way? And then I realized, like, how much energy did I have to take to fight that, to stay where I was?
It's huge.
It's huge.
If you're depressed, it takes a lot of energy to think the same thoughts, feel the
Yeah,
same feelings, breathe the same way, have the same inactivity in your life. It takes a lot to do that.
yeah. To try to defeat enthusiasm in God, it's like, God, I don't deserve your blessings. you know, Try to talk yourself out of them. Last question, Bill. What do you love about life?
I love the beauty and the truth and the goodness that surround me, that support me, that fill me up. I love my ability to be of service to people in a day-to-day basis and help to relieve human suffering. That's what fills me up.
Awesome, sir. Well, Bill, have a beautiful day, and I look forward to meeting your wife as well on the podcast. And I'm sure we're gonna have a hoot with her as well.
You too.
And thank you so much for the time you've given us here, and you're a beautiful soul, sir.
Thank you, Mark. You are too. I really appreciate you taking me in, and it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Blessings.
Blessings indeed.